None of my family really watch Gothic films or horror films of any sort, so since it's my new obsession, I've decided to inflict it on you, dear viewer, instead. I've been on a bit of a horror film kick at the moment. So today I thought I would talk to you about my favourite horror film director and now ex-special effects makeup artist, Guillermo Del Toro, who is a Mexican film director, writer, jack of all trades really. I just think he's brilliant. With that in mind, I thought I would do a sort of Gothic Heroine get ready with me while offloading my newest obsession onto you. I hope that's alright. I'm going to be doing the hair, the makeup and the outfit, and I think probably the first thing I need to do is put on the outfit, the shirt, and I've got a skirt, just because once I've done the hair it's going to get a bit tricky to get that over this. So I'm going to go and do that and I will be back with you in a second. So this is what we're working with in terms of clothes. I have this shirt. It was from H&M about possibly even 10 years ago. I saw it and thought, oh my gosh, it's so Edward Scissorhands. So I bought it. It's not actually vintage, nor is this long skirt, but I will kind of show you the finished outfit when we get there. I'm not keen on being on camera looking like this, but we'll just go with it and have to deal with it when editing. So the first time I watched Pan's Labyrinth, I watched it in Spanish. I was on a school exchange trip to Burgos in northern Spain. I had been learning Spanish for about 4 weeks, so I'm pretty sure I didn't say a word the whole time I was there. The school just decided that we were going to be shipped off there for a week, and some people spoke brilliantly because they'd been doing it since year 9. I had not. Excellent start. We were also sent over there with a Spanish teacher who it turns out had a real penchant for horror movies, and he would only put them on in Spanish. So, you know, 15-year-old kid, because it was actually my 15th birthday while I was out there, terrified, can't speak the language, let's just whack on a horror film. Let's just dial it up a little bit. So the other film we watched was El Orfanato. I think it's The Orphanage in English, and we also watched that in Spanish. And it also turns out, and I've been doing my research here, that that's a Guillermo Del Toro film too. So double whammy of exposure. I didn't know at the time. I was terrified. I mean, not to mention the monster with the hands, which looking back is genius, but for a 15-year-old kid, horrible. And the scene in the orphanage where the like ghost zombie nurse gets hit by the bus. I was a nervous wreck by the time I came home. However, Guillermo Del Toro is now one of my favourite storytellers, directors, etc. I'm gonna carry on. I'm gonna try and talk and do my face. So firstly I'm gonna zoom you in. I am slouching, so let's... Hello and welcome to my face. The look that I wanted to do is kind of based on Crimson Peak, which is a film I'm going to talk to you about as I'm doing this. It's late 1800s, so we're not talking like an Edwardian Gibson girl. It's still Victorian era, hence the high colour, puffy shirt, everything else. The first problem I've encountered with this is that I do not have perfect skin, and having really good skin was kind of relied on. I've also been out in the sun a lot, so we're gonna have to try and replicate that. I'm gonna put some CC cream on first, and this is quite pale. It is quite pale. And just whack that on my face. I suspect, so Mia Wasikowska plays the main character Edith in Crimson Peak, which is the one I've watched most recently, and she has flippin' translucent skin, which is quite accurate for the time because women would wear large hats, cover up their skin to make sure that they weren't getting any sun damage. It was a sign of wealth and privilege because you weren't having to work out in the fields. Having a tan was not what people wanted. So I don't know how much makeup she's really wearing in the film. I suspect quite a lot of base layer just because filming doesn't look great without it. However, she does seem to have really rather lovely skin.
Hermione's got nice skin.
Whereas I'm covered in spots at the moment. So we're gonna try our best. In the Victorian era, they would not have had CC cream, so this is not historically accurate. Women's skin was also pretty unblemished, so I'm also gonna have to go in with a bit of concealer and just pop that up here to get the spots. So I'm just gonna get a damp sponge and sort of lock that in. This will also help with the base. And what I'm going to do in a second, because women did used to powder their skin with very pale or translucent powder, is get in on that using the same damp sponge, but we're just trying to get a really even pale base. Part of the reason I wanted to do this video was that I really love the female characters in Del Toro's films. They are pretty central in all the ones that I've seen, and they're not, as in a lot of Gothic literature, they're not perfect. They are strong, but also vulnerable, flawed, which, I mean, as much as I love a strong female character, I think I prefer his more realistic and nuanced portrayal of women. So in Gothic horror novels, women do tend to be, sorry, going for some loose powder, and this could go very, very wrong, so bear with me. Women, they are kind of victims as well, which Del Toro's women, although they do end up in some quite dangerous situations, they have a lot of agency, which I think is a really nice, like, modern twist on the horror genre, where usually women are like the first victims. The Shape of Water actually had me in tears because I'd never seen a disabled woman portrayed like that. I thought it was really, really beautiful. This idea of, you know, the monster and monstrosity. The people who are traditionally perceived as monstrous different are not actually the ones who are monstrous. It is, in that film, it's the establishment. And that's another thing, is Guillermo Del Toro is very anti-establishment, anti-authority. He really likes an underdog, and he's not particularly fond of the state. He likes depicting these like fairy tale underworlds, other worlds, where people can go about their lives by different rules. So I think we've adequately covered me in powder. I just realised I need to take this out as well because that's not very Victorian of me. Other things that women would have kind of emphasised on their face are their eyebrows and their lips and cheeks. We didn't really have a lot of eye makeup back then, and you can kind of see in some of the film photos that they're not wearing very much around their eyes, so we're just gonna fluff up their eyebrows and just leave them, to be honest. So please excuse the state of them. And then what they do is use cream rouge. So I'm just gonna use a lipstick because I haven't got any. The dream would be some Besame cream rouge, but for now I'm just gonna pop a little bit on my lips, and then just pop a little bit on my cheeks. There's some quite hilarious stuff written from this time period about women's obsession with rouge, which I'd really recommend going and having a look at. I think that's pretty much it on the face front. So next up I'm going to do my hair. This is really interesting because firstly, I somehow managed to miss that Crimson Peak, the 2015 film with Mia Wasikowska, Tom Hiddleston and Jessica Chastain, was Guillermo Del Toro. And that makes so much sense once you realise that. The kind of the costumes, the amazing sets, the sumptuousness of it. The ghosts, which are friggin' terrifying and a bit gooey and a bit and also the kind of romantic, unusual, like whimsical but very dark feel to it. It all makes It makes so much sense once you realise it really plays on very traditional Gothic romance tropes, but in a very modern way. And I feel like you watch it and you can see what they were going for, or not you can see what they're going for, you can see what they've done. You wouldn't need to watch interview with the director and the cast to know exactly what their intentions were throughout the film. And one of the things I noticed was that Jessica Chastain's character is very much living in the past, and so her hair is more early Victorian. She's got the side loops, very rich, thick gowns, but in an older style, whereas Mia Wasikowska's character Edith is wearing much more modern, light clothes, looking forward to kind of the Edwardian era. They're very youthful, very colourful, and her hair isn't as kind of tightly set. So what I'm gonna do, as you know, I've got quite voluminous hair. I did think about using a hair wrap for this, which is like a tube thing you put on your head. So one of the looks, I could just leave it like this, and that would be pretty accurate. However, I'm gonna try and put it up. So, I can thoroughly recommend brushing it, because you want to get as much floof as possible. I can't really see what I'm doing, so this could be a disaster, but we're gonna try. One way of doing this, and I've seen people do it when they're trying to do Edwardian hairstyles, is to just pick it up and smush it. Now that's kind of what we're going for here. However, I'm gonna leave this front bit out because that's the kind of stylised bit. And then what I'm gonna do, apart from these front bits, which I'm gonna just leave out, is get this back bit, gather it, and smush it. And smush it quite away on top of my head, like that. Now, what I'm gonna do, because it's not historically accurate to use a hairband, is just make a fairly flat bun on the back of my head, pull out these side bits. I look like Cousin It from the Addams Family right now. And then just pin it in place. Yeah, I never thought I would like horror films when I was growing up. I thought that they were just too scary, but I've kind of learnt to appreciate them as I've got older. Like, I love Gothic literature. We studied it at school. All those books like Wuthering Heights, Dracula, Angela Carter's The Bloody Chamber, which feminist fairy tale Gothic. Spot on combination. Right, I'm going to take these front bits and I'm going to swoop them sort of just out like that and pin them in a sort of almost pin curl. So I'm just going to swirl it round. This is one thing I find quite unbelievable about the whole setup, is that Edith's character and Lucille's character, the two leading ladies, don't have any maids, so I've got no idea how they managed to do such intricate hairstyles on themselves and just sort of pull out those bits so they stick out. And then we're going in for the big one. Now I think I'm gonna backcomb this a little bit. I love that kind of literature. I love the old films, and I really like that combination of backcombed fairy tale and romance with the darkness and the gothic. Oh, I love it. Right, we're going to try and do a swoop. We're going to kind of roll the end, as you would if you were doing a pin curl, but like a big one. Going to do that so that you've got a kind of you're aiming for is a kind of wave that goes across there and then down and in, and I'm going to pin that in place. Et voila! Now I understand that some people would probably need quite a lot of hairspray to achieve this. However, I am blessed and cursed in equal measure with very fluffy hair. So is pretty much what we're going for. Just to top it all off, in some of the photos you can see from Crimson Peak, Edith is a writer. She is an American heiress, and they're not quite right in the sense that they're not perfectly round, but for the sake of a bit of fun, just to finish it off, Victorian writer, sitting tapping away at my typewriter. That's kind of what we're going for. So yeah, Guillermo Del Toro films, I love them. I think he gets the balance just right. I really want to go and watch Pan's Labyrinth again because it's been a long time since I've seen it. It just felt like watching some kind of strange dream in the best way, and I think something that grabs you that intensely, even if it is through fear at the moment, real useful. This is the finished look. I had a lot of fun doing this, despite the fact that I've now learned I need to do a practice run beforehand. Since we've got nothing better to do at the moment, which I realise is an incredibly privileged position to be in at this point, why not dress vaguely like Miss Havisham and go and scare your neighbours by looking like something from a Guillermo Del Toro film. Yeah, that's it really. I've been wanting to make this video pretty much ever since I watched Crimson Peak a couple of weeks ago. I wanted to talk about it, I want to talk about the marvel that is Guillermo Del Toro, and I'm really bored, so I thought I would get dressed up. Thank you very much for watching. If you've got any horror movie recommendations or any kind of gothic horror stuff that you would like to recommend me, please leave a comment because I'm running out of things to watch. It's a weird bit we're living through at the moment, and I just wanted to inject a bit of distraction and levity, and I think horror movies are great for that if you need something that is just going to capture your attention and keep you focused on that and nothing else. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. I would love to do more of these kind of historic slash cosplay get ready with me. I just like faffing around and putting stuff on my face really. So if this is your kind of thing, please do subscribe as well. I hope you're well, I hope you're safe. You can take the theatre student out of the theatre, but their wardrobe was already a dressing up box. My brother went, "Why are you dressed as a Victorian?" So I've achieved some level of the vibe. If you do try out this look, please send me a photo. Actually, don't send me a photo. I just never invite people to send you photos on the internet. Or I might just spend the rest of the day like this, I don't know.